On the far side of the galaxy, there was a giant space station called Zareth Prime. Many alien species lived there, each one small and delicate. Among them was a tiny race called the Yvari. The Yvari were no taller than a small chair. They had bright eyes, small hands, and thin arms. But in the heart of Zareth Prime, there was fear. A new being had arrived, a creature none had seen before. The Yvari called him a human, but they also whispered another name, the Giant. The rumors spread like wildfire. He is so big, he can crush us with one step. He eats little aliens for breakfast. I heard his mouth is full of sharp teeth. Wherever the Yvari gathered, in the markets, in the glowing gardens, or even in the dark tunnels, the whispers of the Giant spread. Luma, a young Yvari girl, heard these stories from everyone. She was small, with blue skin and soft antennae. On her head, she was curious but also very scared. She had never seen a human before, and after hearing the stories, she never wanted to, but one day, something unexpected happened. Luma was sent by her mother to collect glowberries from the storage near the cargo bay. She was nervous because the cargo bay was close to the humans' work area. Be quick, her mother warned. And don't go near the Giant. Luma nodded, her heart beating fast. She tiptoed through the quiet corridors, her small basket swinging in her hands. The lights flickered above her, casting long shadows on the metal walls. When she reached the storage, she quickly filled her basket with the soft glowing fruits. She was almost done when she heard it. Thud, thud, thud. Heavy footsteps echoed through the hallway. Luma's eyes widened. She froze. The Giant. The steps grew louder and closer. She wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. She looked around and quickly hid behind a large crate. Peeking through a small gap, she saw a massive shadow stretch across the floor. Then the shadow stopped. A deep, rumbling voice said gently, "Someone's here?" Luma held her breath. She tried to stay as quiet as possible. But then, her foot slipped on a berry, and the crate made a small sound. The shadow turned. Suddenly, a giant face peeked around the crate. Luma screamed. She shut her eyes, shaking in fear. She waited for sharp teeth, for claws, or maybe to be grabbed and swallowed whole, but nothing happened. Slowly, she opened one eye. The human was kneeling down, looking at her with a soft smile. His eyes were warm and kind, not scary. His face was smooth, and his hair was dark and short. "Hey, there, little one," the human said in a gentle voice. "I didn't mean to scare you." Luma didn't move. She just stared, heart pounding. Then, to her surprise, the human reached into his pocket and pulled out something shiny. It was a small wrapped candy bar. He placed it gently on the ground in front of her. "Here, something sweet for you." "Don't worry, I don't eat little aliens," he chuckled softly. Luma blinked. She had never seen candy like that before, but she was still too scared to touch it. "I'm Eli," the human said. "What's your name?" Luma stayed silent. She wanted to speak, but her voice was trapped by fear. After a moment, Eli stood up slowly, careful not to startle her. He waved kindly. "Okay, I'll leave this here for you. I'll be over there fixing those crates if you need help." With that, he walked away, his heavy steps fading slowly. Luma stayed behind the crate, staring at the candy. She didn't understand. The stories said humans were monsters. But this one smiled, spoke softly, and even gave her a gift. Minutes passed. Slowly, Luma crawled forward and touched the candy. It was cold and shiny. She picked it up carefully and sniffed it. It smelled sweet, like honey and nuts. She didn't eat it. She just held it tightly and looked toward where Eli was working. He was lifting heavy boxes easily, fixing broken containers, and even helping some small traders with their carts. He was laughing with them, though they looked nervous. Luma watched from her hiding spot. Maybe The stories were wrong? That night, when she returned home, her mother asked, "Did you see the giant?" Luma shook her head. She didn't tell her about the candy. She didn't know why, but she wanted to keep it secret. Later, when Luma went to bed, she placed the candy under her pillow. She thought about the human's smile, his kind voice, and his gentle eyes. She was still scared. But inside her, a tiny spark of curiosity had started to grow. Maybe she would go back tomorrow, maybe. She wanted to see the giant again. The next morning, Luma woke up early. She touched the small candy still hidden under her pillow. It was real. She hadn't imagined it. The human, the giant, had really given it to her. She stared at the candy, thinking hard. She was still scared, but something inside her was pushing her to go back. She wanted to see the human again, even if her mind said it was dangerous. She decided she would return to the cargo bay. Luma stepped out of her small home carefully. The air on Zareth Prime was always cool, and the lights on the ceiling mimicked a soft morning glow. As she walked, she kept her eyes and ears sharp. She didn't want anyone to see her heading back to the cargo docks. When she reached the same area, it was quieter than yesterday. But then she heard it again, thud, thud, the sound of heavy footsteps. Luma's heart raced, but this time, she didn't hide. She stood near the corner, just enough to peek. There he was, the human, Eli. He was sitting on a large box, wiping sweat from his forehead. His tool bag was open next to him, and broken crates were scattered around. Suddenly, Eli looked up and smiled directly at her hiding spot. "I was wondering if you'd come back," he said in a soft, friendly voice. Luma's body froze. How did he see her? She was still behind the corner. "Don't worry," Eli said, still smiling. "I have good eyes." She didn't move. "Did you like the candy?" he asked. Slowly, very slowly, Luma stepped out from her hiding place. She held the candy bar tightly in both hands. "I didn't eat it," she whispered. "That's okay," Eli chuckled. "But it's tasty, I promise." Luma looked up at him. He was so big, even while sitting. His legs were as tall as her whole body. But his eyes didn't look scary. They looked kind, like a warm sunbeam. "Do you eat little aliens?" she asked, her voice shaking. Eli laughed, but it was a gentle, happy sound. "No, I don't eat little aliens. Why would I eat my new friend?" Luma blinked. "Friend?" "Yes," Eli said. "You're the first one to talk to me. Everyone else runs away." Luma tilted her head. She felt a strange feeling in her chest. Was she really his friend? "What's your name, little one?" Eli asked. She hesitated, but then softly said, "Luma." "Luma," Eli repeated with a grin. "That's a pretty name." Luma's face turned a shade of purple, a blush for her kind. Where do you come from?" she asked, now a little less scared. "I come from a planet called Earth. It's very far from here," Eli explained. "Earth has big trees, blue oceans, and animals like birds and cats. It's full of colors." Luma's eyes grew wide. She had never seen an ocean. The only water she knew was from small ponds in the station's garden. "Is it beautiful?" she asked. "Yes," Eli said, looking up as if he could see it in his mind. "It's the most beautiful place I know." For a moment, there was silence between them. Luma looked at the candy, then at Eli again. "Why are you here then?" she asked. "If your home is beautiful, why come here?" Eli's smile faded a little. He looked down. "I was a worker on a spaceship, but my ship crashed near here. I didn't have a way to go home, so I stayed and helped repair things around the station," he said quietly. Luma's small heart felt heavy. The giant wasn't a monster. He was stranded alone, far from his home. "Do you miss your family?" she asked softly. Eli nodded. "Every day." For the first time, Luma didn't feel scared. She felt sad for him. She took a tiny step closer. "I don't have a father," he Left long ago, she whispered. Eli looked at her with gentle eyes. Then maybe we both are a little lonely. Luma smiled just a little. She sat on a nearby box, still keeping some distance. Eli laughed. See? Now we are really friends. Then, Eli pulled out a small device from his bag. He pressed a button and a hologram appeared. A glowing blue image of Earth's ocean waves. Luma gasped. She stood up, reaching towards the waves that weren't really there. What is this? She asked in awe. That's Earth's ocean, Eli said proudly. One day I'll go back. Maybe I can show it to you for real. Luma's eyes sparkled. She wanted to see more. But then, from far away, loud voices echoed. Someone saw a Yvari girl talking to the human. Luma's eyes widened in fear. Eli quickly turned off the hologram. Go, he whispered. Before they catch you. Luma grabbed her basket and ran, but before turning the corner, she looked back. Eli smiled and waved. Her heart pounded, but not just from fear. She wanted to come back again, and this time, not just for candy. Luma ran all the way home. Her small legs moved fast, her little heart beating hard in her chest. She kept looking back, afraid that someone was following her. But the hallways behind her were empty. When she finally reached her home, she closed the door quickly and leaned against it, breathing heavily. She still held the candy bar tightly in her hands. And in her mind, the image of the blue ocean the human had shown her. The waves, the sound, the glow. It was like magic, but she also remembered the loud voices. Someone saw the Yvari girl talking to the human. She was in trouble. She knew it. That night, she couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling of her small room, thinking about Eli, the human. She remembered his smile, his sad eyes when he spoke of his home, and the way he gently showed her the ocean. She wasn't scared of him anymore. She was curious, but if the others found out, she knew she would be punished. The next day, she decided to speak to her best friend, Vico. He was a boy her age, small like her, with green skin and bright yellow eyes. She found him near the station's garden where the glowing flowers bloomed under fake sunlight. Vico, she whispered, pulling him aside. I need to tell you something, but you have to promise not to tell anyone. Vico looked at her with interest. What is it? I met the human, Luma said softly. His name is Eli. He's not bad, Vico. He gave me candy and showed me things about his home. Vico's eyes widened. You what? Are you crazy? Luma, humans are dangerous. No, he's kind, Luma insisted. He didn't hurt me. He was nice. He showed me a blue ocean. Vico shook his head. Luma, you shouldn't talk to him. The elders say humans are monsters. They eat little aliens like us, Luma frowned. But I saw him. He's not like that. Vico crossed his arms. Maybe he's pretending. Maybe he's waiting to trick you. No, Luma said firmly. He's alone here. He misses his family. I can feel it. He's sad, not evil. Vico looked around nervously. Luma, if the elders find out you're talking to him, they'll punish you. Maybe even exile you. Luma looked down. She knew Vico was right, but her heart said, otherwise, I can't stop Vico, she whispered. I want to know more. I want to see what else is out there. Vico sighed. You'll get yourself in trouble. But Luma had already decided. She would meet Eli again. That evening, she sneaked back to the cargo bay. She moved quietly, making sure no one saw her. When she arrived, she saw Eli sitting on the floor, fixing a broken machine part. When he noticed her, his face brightened. Luma, you came back, he said happily. She smiled shyly and walked closer. I wanted to see the ocean again, she said. Eli chuckled. Of course. He pulled out his device again and projected the hologram of the waves. Luma sat down, her eyes wide with wonder. What else is on Earth? She asked. Eli showed her images of tall trees, Bright flowers and animals like birds, horses, and even cats. Luma laughed when she saw a cat. It's so small. Yes, Eli said. But fierce. When it wants to be. They both laughed. For the first time, Luma didn't feel like she was talking to a giant. She felt like she was talking to a friend. Then Luma asked, "Why do my people fear you?" "They say you're a monster." Eli's smile faded a little. He sighed, long ago, my people had a fight with some alien species. It was bad. But I wasn't part of that. Still, everyone thinks all humans are bad, he explained softly. Luma looked down. I think stories can be wrong. Maybe they don't know the truth. Ile smiled again. You're very smart, Luma. But then, footsteps echoed nearby. Eli stood up quickly and turned off the hologram. Someone's coming, he warned. Luma's heart jumped. She quickly hid behind the crates. From the hallway, 2 Yvari guards appeared, looking around suspiciously. We heard voices, one guard sighed. I think that little girl is meeting the human. Luma held her breath. If they caught her here, it would be the end. But Eli stood calm and smiled at the guards. I was just talking to myself, Eli said. It gets lonely, you know. Guards looked at him with cold eyes but didn't see Luma hiding. Stay in your area, human, the guard warned. Don't try to trick us. Then they walked away, their footsteps fading. Luma peeked out. Her body was shaking. That was close, she whispered. Eli nodded. You should go. It's not safe for you to be seen here. Luma nodded sadly. She didn't want to leave, but she knew she had to. Will you be here tomorrow? She asked. I'll be here, Eli promised. She smiled, then ran back through the halls, her heart still racing. But in her mind, she wasn't afraid. She was excited that she was learning the truth. And nothing could stop her now. The space station, Zareth Prime, slept. Quietly, its lights dimmed to mimic night. But deep inside the giant metal walls, one small heart was wide awake. Luma couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, thinking about the human, Eli. His gentle smile, the stories of Earth, the sound of waves, they danced in her mind. But so did the danger. She remembered the guards, their cold eyes searching the cargo bay. She remembered Vico's warning. They will punish you if they find out. Still, she couldn't stop herself. She wanted to see Eli again. She wanted to know more. As soon as the station lights shifted to morning mode, Luma sneaked out. She tiptoed past her family, past the quiet market, past the small glowing gardens. She made her way back to the cargo bay. When she arrived, Eli was already there, sitting on a crate, whistling a soft tune. His eyes lit up when he saw her. Good morning, little explorer. He greeted. Luma giggled. Good morning, giant Eli. He laughed. Giant, huh? I'll take that as a compliment. They sat together, and Eli showed her more images from his hologram device. This time, he showed her snow, white and cold, falling from the sky on Earth. Luma gasped. Is it like dust? Kind of, Eli smiled. But it's cold, and you can make shapes from it. Like a snowman. He showed her a picture of a snowman, and Luma laughed so hard her antennae wiggled. But then her laughter faded. She looked serious. Eli, she asked softly, why does everyone think humans are monsters? Eli's face grew sad. I think long ago, a human ship accidentally crashed into a Yvari farm. It destroyed crops and homes, he explained. Since then, the elders taught your people that humans are dangerous. But, do you eat little aliens? Luma asked again, just to be sure. Eli chuckled. No, little one. I don't eat anyone. That can talk to me. Luma smiled, feeling safer. But a question burned in her mind. If that's true, why is no one trying to find out what really happened? She asked. Eli shrugged. Maybe they're too scared to find the truth. Sometimes lies feel safer, Luma thought deeply. She didn't like lies. I want to know the truth, she said firmly. Suddenly, footsteps echoed again. This time, not just 2 guards, but more. Quick, hide. Eli whispered. Luma ran behind the crates, hiding deep in the shadows. 4 guards entered, their faces angry. You've been talking to that little Yvari girl, one of them accused. I don't know what you're talking about, Eli replied calmly, but the guards didn't believe him. The elders warned us. If we catch her here again, we'll punish you both. Eli didn't reply. He just stood tall, his face serious now. The guards looked around but didn't find Luma. They left, muttering threats. Luma waited until the footsteps were gone, then came out, her body shaking. You should stop coming here. Luma, Eli said. Sadly, it's too dangerous. But Luma shook her head. No, I want to know the truth. I want to know what really happened long ago. Eli looked at her, surprised by her bravery. Then maybe there's a way, he said slowly. I heard. There's an archive room in the Elders' Hall. It has old records. Maybe the truth is in there. Luma's eyes sparkled. Where is it? Eli frowned. It's guarded. Only elders can enter. But maybe you're small enough to sneak in. Luma smiled slyly. I'm good at sneaking. Eli chuckled. Be careful, little one. That night, Luma made a plan. She told Vico everything. You're crazy, Vico said. The Elders' Hall? You'll be caught. I have to try, Luma said. I need to know if Eli is telling the truth. Vico sighed. Fine, I'll help. Distract the guards. Late at night, when the station was quiet, Luma and Vico sneaked toward the Elders' Hall. Vico threw a small glowing stone down the opposite hallway. When the guards heard the noise, they ran to check it. Luma slipped inside the hall through a small vent. She crawled through the dark, her heart pounding. Inside, the hall was cold and filled with old books, data crystals, and dusty machines. In the corner, a small robot stood, its eyes dim. Luma tapped it gently. The robot's eyes lit up. Double quotes, hello, it said softly. I am Archivist Bot 7. How can I help? Luma whispered. I need to know what happened when the human ship crashed. The robot beeped and scanned the archives. After a moment, a hologram appeared. It showed an old video, a Yvari mining machine going out of control, crashing into a farm, destroying everything. Then came another record, showing that the Yvari leaders blamed a human ship that had only passed nearby but never landed. Luma's mouth dropped open. It wasn't the humans who destroyed the farm. It was their own machine. She grabbed the data crystal with the proof and quickly crawled back out, where Vico waited nervously. Did you find it? Vico asked. Luma nodded, holding up the crystal. The truth, she said, her eyes burning with determination. Now I'll show everyone. Luma held the glowing data crystal tightly in her small hands. The proof was inside it, the truth that could clear Eli's name and show that humans were not monsters. She and Vico ran through the dim halls of the station, their tiny feet tapping fast on the metal floor. Are you sure it's safe to keep that? Vico asked nervously. What if the elders find out? Luma shook her head. I have to show Eli first. He needs to know. They reached the cargo bay where Eli was waiting. He stood near the same crates, his large figure looming but his smile gentle. When he saw Luma running in, he knelt down. You're back. Did you find anything? Eli asked. Luma nodded proudly and held up the crystal. Yes, the robot in the Elders' Hall showed me. It wasn't humans who destroyed the farm. It was a Yvari mining machine that went out of control. Eli's eyes widened. You're serious? She nodded. The leaders blamed your people to make others scared. But now I have proof. Eli sighed deeply. A look of relief and sadness mixed on his face. Thank you, Luma. I didn't think anyone would ever believe me. But before Luma could say more, A sharp voice cut through the air. There she is, and with the human. Luma turned around in shock. 3 Yvari guards stood at the entrance of the cargo bay, and behind them, her own mother. Her mother's face was filled with horror and anger. "Luma, what have you done?" she shouted. Luma's heart dropped. She looked at Eli, then back at her mother. I was trying to find the truth," Luma cried. "Humans aren't bad. I have proof." But the guards didn't listen. One of them pointed at Eli. "We warned you, human. Now you'll pay for corrupting our youth." Without waiting, the guards rushed forward and threw heavy chains at Eli, locking his hands and feet. Eli didn't resist. He just looked down at Luma, his face calm but sad. "Don't be afraid, little one," he said softly. Luma ran forward. "No, stop. He didn't do anything wrong." But one guard pushed her aside roughly. Her mother grabbed her arm. "You've brought shame on us all, Luma. The elders will decide your punishment." Luma shook her head, tears forming in her eyes. "I have the crystal. I can show everyone the truth." The guards ignored her. They dragged Eli away, his chained feet making heavy noises on the floor. "Stay strong, Luma," Eli whispered as they pulled him away. Luma tried to run after them, but her mother held her tightly. "You don't understand, Mother." Luma shouted, "They've lied to us for years." Her mother shook her head, her eyes sad. "Some truths are better left buried." "No," Luma cried, "not this one." But her mother only pulled her home, locking the door behind them. That night, Luma sat in the corner of her room, hugging her knees. The data crystal glowed faintly beside her. She couldn't stop thinking about Eli, his kind smile, his sad eyes as he was taken away. She thought of the ocean, the snow, the earth. He had shown her. She couldn't let the story end like this. Then she heard a whisper near her window. "Luma, are you okay?" It was Vico. He had sneaked up to her window. "They're saying Eli will be deported tomorrow, sent away on a prison ship," Vico said. "You have to do something." Luma's eyes burned with determination. She picked up the data crystal. "Then we'll show everyone the truth before they send him away," she said. "But how?" Vico asked. "We'll go to the market square in the morning. When the elders gather to judge him, I'll show this crystal to everyone," she decided. Vico looked nervous but nodded. "I'll help you." As the station's lights dimmed for night, Luma stared out the window. Clutching the crystal, she remembered Eli's words. "Stay strong, little one." She would be strong. For him. Tomorrow she would stand before everyone, and she would speak the truth, even if no one believed her. Morning came early on Zareth Prime. The usual peaceful hum of the station was broken by loud announcements. "All citizens gather in the market square. The human has broken our laws. He will be judged today by the Council of Elders." Every path, every bridge, and every hall led to the market square, a wide-open space filled with glowing lamps and tall screens. Luma stood at her window, holding the data crystal tightly. Her mind raced. If she waited too long, they would send Eli away forever, or worse. She turned to Vico, who stood beside her nervously. "We have to go now," she said firmly. Vico swallowed hard. "What if they catch us?" "We'll make sure they see the truth before that," Luma said, her eyes burning with courage. She hid the crystal in a pouch around her neck, and together they slipped out into the crowded hallways. The station buzzed with chatter. The human must be punished. "I knew he was dangerous. I heard the girl helped him. She's a traitor." Luma heard the whispers. Some pointed at her, some looked away in disgust. But she kept walking, her small hands clenched into fists. When they reached the market square, the Council of Elders stood high on a metal platform. The crowd gathered below, a sea of small Yvari faces. And there, in chains, stood Eli. His arms and legs were bound, but he stood tall, his eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on Luma. He smiled gently. Even now, Luma's heart twisted. Then, the High Elder, an old Ivari with silver skin and long antennae, raised his staff. "We gather here to pass judgment on the human named Eli," the Elder declared. "He has broken our laws by corrupting the young one and threatening our peace." The crowd cheered, some stomping their feet. Luma stepped forward, but a guard blocked her. "Stay back, little one," the guard sneered. "You've done enough damage." But Luma didn't stop. She pulled out the data crystal and raised it high. "Wait," she shouted. Her small voice echoed, but it was almost drowned by the noise. "I have proof. The human is innocent," the Elder frowned. "Silence the child." But before the guard could grab her, Vico pushed a button on his small device, and the data crystal's hologram lit up, right on the big screen above the square. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Everyone watched as the old footage played. A Ivari mining machine, large and clumsy, malfunctioning and destroying fields and homes. The video showed clearly that the damage was caused by their own technology, not a human ship. Then, another record showed the Elders, years ago, blaming humans, even though they knew the truth. The square fell silent. Luma's voice rang clear. "Now, you lied to us. The human ship never hurt us. It was our own mistake, and you blamed others to make us live in fear." The Elders looked shocked. Murmurs spread quickly. The High Elder's face turned red with anger and shame. "How dare you," he began, but another Elder, older and quieter, stepped forward. His eyes were tired but honest. "She is right," the old Elder said. "I remember. This truth was hidden to keep the peace. But we have lived in fear too long." The crowd started murmuring louder. "Is it true? All these years we hated for nothing? The human is not a monster?" Luma stood tall, her small chest heaving. "Eli is my friend. He showed me kindness. He taught me about the ocean, the snow, and what it means to smile." She shouted. The High Elder looked furious, but the crowd was already shifting. Some Ivari stepped forward, their eyes guilty. And then, the Elder who admitted the truth raised his hand. "We must right this wrong," he said. "Release the human." The guards hesitated, but when the Elder repeated the order, they unlocked Eli's chains. The heavy metal fell to the ground with a loud clang. Eli stretched his arms but didn't move. He looked at Luma, smiling proudly. "You did it, little one," he said warmly. Luma ran to him, tears in her eyes. "I couldn't let them hurt you," she whispered. The old Elder looked at the crowd. "We cannot erase the past, but we can change the future. Let us welcome the human, not as a beast, but as a friend." The crowd started clapping, slowly at first, then louder and louder. Eli looked around, surprised. He was no longer a prisoner. He was free. Luma smiled up at him, her heart full of happiness. For the first time, the Ivari people looked at the human not with fear, but with hope. And it all began because one small girl had the courage to speak the truth. The market square of Zareth Prime was still buzzing with whispers, even after the chains fell from Eli's hands. The Ivari people stared, some with shame, some with wonder. The truth was out. The human was innocent. The monster they feared for years was just a man, and that man had stood calmly, even when chained, never showing anger or hatred. Luma stood beside Eli, her small hand touching his giant arm. She looked up at him, smiling brightly, though her cheeks were still wet with tears. "You're free now, Eli," she whispered. Eli looked down, his eyes warm and gentle. "Thanks to you, little one. You were braver than any warrior." Suddenly, the old Elder who had admitted the truth stepped forward. He raised his hand and spoke loudly, his voice echoing through the square. "We have lived with lies for too long. The human did nothing wrong. It is time we change." The High Elder, the one who wanted Eli punished, stayed silent. His face was stiff, but he knew the crowd had already decided. The people murmured, nodding slowly. The old elder turned to Eli. Human, we owe you an apology, and perhaps much more. Will you forgive us? Eli smiled kindly. I was angry when you put me in chains. But now, I'm just happy to see the truth come out. I forgive you. The crowd relaxed. Some even smiled for the first time in Eli's presence. But Luma wasn't done yet. She stepped forward, her tiny voice loud and clear. We should never judge anyone by old stories. We should talk to each other. Learn from each other, she said bravely. The crowd listened closely. My people know nothing about Earth, about the oceans or the snow, she said, turning to Eli. But maybe, if we listen to him, we can learn. Eli chuckled. And maybe I can learn from you too. Like those glowing flowers or the sweet fruits you have. Everyone laughed softly. Then the old elder raised his voice once more. Then let this be a new beginning. From today, Eli is no longer an outsider. He is welcome here as one of us. A loud cheer broke out. Some of Vivari stepped forward to greet Eli, shaking his large hand carefully. Others still looked nervous but curious. Luma stood proudly. She had done it. She had changed her people's heart. Later that day, the council called a gathering in the hall. Luma was invited, standing proudly with Eli and Vico by her side. They declared that Luma would become the first bridge keeper, a special role made just for her. She would help build friendship between Yuvari and humans, or any species who came to Zareth Prime. Her mother watched from the crowd, her eyes filled with tears of pride and apology. That night, under the soft lights of the station, Luma sat with Eli in the garden where glowing flowers bloomed. She looked up at the dark sky beyond the glass walls, where distant stars twinkled. Do you still want to go back to Earth? She asked softly. Eli smiled, staring at the stars. Maybe someday, he said. But for now, I have a new home here, with my small brave friend. Luma's heart warmed. She held the small candy bar, still uneaten, in her hands. Maybe one day, I'll see your Earth, and you'll show me the ocean for real, she said. Eli chuckled. It's a promise. And in that moment, surrounded by soft glowing lights and new hope, the giant and the tiny girl sat side by side, no longer strangers, but true friends. The station of Zareth Prime was no longer a place of fear. It had become a place of new beginnings, and it all started because one little girl decided not to be afraid anymore.